if you're a Conservative in the UK, it's okay to oppose when the Labour Party tries to expose children to sexuality. In fact, you should do that. That is a duty of yours. It is your job to protect the innocence of children from the predatory advances of the Labour Party, anywhere you find it. And whenever something like this happens, something like this happens in particular, you should make a big deal about it. Every Conservative MP, every Conservative activist should be saying Labour. In fact, what was the exact phrase that was being used was it Labour dildo butt monkey?
Is that the mascot now for the party?
Yeah, that. As far as the Conservative Party should be concerned, that's the Labour Party right there. Labour dildo butt monkey who wants to teach your kids to read.
I'm gonna Photoshop that into some Labour leaflets later.
That's a great idea, actually, because that's what the Labour Party did in Redbridge, a small London constituency. So an investigation was initiated into against the library in this Labour constituency that was commissioning this group of people to do whatever they're doing for some reason to promote reading among kids.
Hang on. Why does reading among kids need a butt monkey?
Yeah, that's a great question. Why does it need an 8-inch dildo? Why does it need that? I can't explain it, but then I don't vote Labour. So, I mean, I just... I had voted Conservative, and I can't explain why the Conservatives aren't. Look, the left of pedos, the left of pedos, the left of pedos. Because what are you doing? What is this, right? So in a video that had gone viral on social media platforms, the monkey character runs out from the library on the street with two other performers holding a placard. This was at London's Redbridge Library, which is of course run by the local council. They all break in to dance outside. Most of the people who saw the video are outraged as the monkey's fake genitalia kept flapping in all directions as he danced on the street, and the library claimed the event was to promote reading among kids. Why Conservatives? Can't you just, like, you've got a glorious open goal here, right? The left are busy sexualizing kids. You can score a really strong hit against them at this point, and you're just silent. Silence. I've not seen a single Conservative MP mention this.
Like, you think this is such an open goal. You'd have your press person. They've all got press people who are all connected to everyone in media. You'd call up the Times. You'd call up LBC. You'd call up Talk Radio. Be like, I want to do a segment on the dildo monkey.
Yeah.
And what's the guy at Talk Radio going to say? No, we're not going to do that. No, of course we're going to let you do that.
Exactly. Labour's rainbow dildo butt monkey. That's where they're at in 2021. I mean, they're not in power, obviously, But anyway, but the age of the kids that this is supposed to promote reading to, wait for it, 4 to 11. Prepubescent children. Visible disgust, I agree. Obviously, this got slightly criticised on social media, if you can believe it. The actor belonged to a troupe...
Why did no one there pull out a rock?
Well, middle of town, I suppose. Where are you going to get a rock from? The actor belonged to a troupe of street performers called Mandinga Arts, based in South Clapham South. The website says they have a distinctive style, which I agree with, bringing together live music, carnival, street costume, puppetry, and dance, drawing all the diverse influences from Europe, Latin America, Caribbean, and Africa, as well as Little St. James, it seems. That went above your head, didn't it?
No, that's Jeffrey Epstein's island, isn't it?
Okay, that was gold. Come on. Anyway, some people questioned the Redbridge Labour Council that had reportedly organised the event. Yeah, I bet they did.
This is art, don't you know? This is Labour art.
Yes. Well, Jas Athwal, the Labour Council leader, issued a strong statement against the event and called it disgusting. Thank goodness.
So why'd you organise it?
Yeah, well, I imagine he personally didn't organise it, but some underlings who are running the council's library were like, yeah, this is fine. He says, as soon as I learned of this, I took immediate action. I contacted Vision and they've confirmed that all subsequent events have been cancelled. Good. That's right. And you Conservatives, you should be bullying him all across the media at this point, being like, well, how is it that this went on without his knowledge? He's clearly not in control. The Labour Party would do this to you.
Who's fired?
Exactly.
How many heads are rolled?
Exactly. Who's fired? Right. And the Labour Party would do this to you relentlessly.
This is what I mean. Like, why is this not currently the biggest conversation going on, and instead we're arguing about people saying the N-word online?
Yeah.
Like, this is such an easy win. Why is this not the narrative you are setting as the party?
And it's really embarrassing. But the thing is, right, this he was quite angry about this because a conservative activist had said this needs an explanation, and he's like, oh, I will deal with this Monday morning. This was a couple of hours ago. I will not take lectures from a Johnny come lately, which is referencing the activist who mentioned. It's like, dude, you're putting a giant dildo in kids' faces. I don't think you should be morally grandstanding. Like, I think you should be like, oh God, I'm so sorry about this.
Sorry, what have you got better to do as well?
Yeah, well, obviously, but interestingly, apparently, Mandinga Arts has worked with Redbridge Libraries on several projects. This isn't the first one. Earlier in 2021, they participated in the Day of the Dead celebrations. And they have a controversial history of using not-so-decent characters for its events. Last year, they hosted a week of, quote, inclusive story time for LGBT plus History Month with drag queen Mama G. The same artist promoted the Summer Reading Challenge for Kent Libraries this year. That's interesting. And so when this broke,
So drag queen story time now comes with a dildo monkey.
Well, it's a separate event, but you kids can attend both.
Part of the exercise.
Part of the exercise. But anyway, so when they were first challenged on this, I think this is really interesting. If we get to the next one, you can see screenshots that they had posted. So if you scroll down on this one, this is obviously an anti-Labour Party.
What a headline that.
But look at that though. What is I do not want my 4 to 11-year-old children seeing this at all, right? But if you scroll down a bit, you can see that Redbridge Libraries had put Meddlesome Monkey at Good Maze Library. Did you catch them? Blah, blah, blah. And then Exeter Library, again, another local council, was like, that shock when the monkey turned around, ha, ha, ha. And then they replied, I know, monkey's out of control, but when you've got it, flaunt it, I suppose. Do you remember that this was a show for children, Redbridge Libraries? Did you remember that children are going to see the big dildo?
The fact that they're saying flaunt it means they know there's a giant dildo.
Yep.
In front of the kid's face.
And
they're
proud
an
exposed
of it.
Anus as well.
Yeah, and they're proud of that.
Yeah. Flaunt it. That was their response. Again, heads should roll. Conservatives, you make a huge deal out of this. Make sure whoever organised this gets fired. Make sure that they can't speak, they can't move for people saying, why haven't you fired that guy? Why haven't you fired that guy? Why haven't you fired the guy who's putting an anus and a dildo in front of kids' faces? I mean, why is that a controversial thing to have to advocate for?
But it's also
it's not shocking, right? Oh, that guy should be fired.
Like the practical politics of it as well. Like you've currently got every Tory MP having to apologise because someone who isn't them has said something online. Well, then why do you not have every Labour MP having to apologise for their own party in a controlling area having dildo monkey? In front of kids.
Priti Patel is a racist and she's oppressive, but dildo monkey is just fine. But anyway, they did eventually end up apologising for this.
Priti Patel, you're a racist. Yeah, well, Labour, you're a pedo.
Yeah, you're pedos. Dildo monkey, dildo monkey, dildo monkey. Don't say a damn thing to me until you've dealt with this. But anyway, they were forced to apologise, of course. But the thing about the apology is after the "you've got it, flaunt it" part, well, it seems kind of hollow, doesn't it? During an event put on at the library today, there was a performance by a carnival arts company. Unfortunately, one of the animal costumes was inappropriate, and we were not aware at the time of the booking. Sure you weren't. Just flaunt it. But you weren't aware. We deeply apologise for the offence caused, and this is being looked into, and a further statement will be made. This event was arranged by Vision and not by Redbridge Council. Yeah, well, you paid them to arrange it, didn't you? They didn't do it randomly. Flaunt it, you said. Upon receiving further complaints passed on by the leader and deputy leader, we have ceased the performance and are truly apologetic for the distress caused to residents. This will never happen again. Yeah.
I don't trust them.
Don't trust you. Should be fired. There was, unsurprisingly, a backlash from Muslim parents, but
based.
Why? Based. But why only Muslim parents? Like, what?
The only based group in the country, apparently.
I mean, I haven't checked the demographics of this area, actually, to be honest, so maybe there's a reason for that.
But still, you'd expect everyone to be like, nah.
Yeah. This was got a backlash from the local Muslim community, and Labour MP Wes Streeting questioned how anyone involved, including your staff, could have thought that a costume described by one national journalist with depressing accuracy as a rainbow dildo butt monkey was appropriate for family audiences around our libraries and public realm, let alone a festival aimed at promoting literacy among children. Good question. Why is it the Labour MP that has to say that, and why are none of the Conservative MPs saying that? And so the question is, why aren't the Conservatives doing anything about this? And, well, Boris has been pictured with this troop.
I'm gonna kill myself. Jesus Christ. Goddamn Conservatives.
In Boris's defence, this picture was taken at the launch of the Thames Festival in 2008 when he was Mayor of London. I don't know whether
he was still a conservative.
I don't know whether the dildo and anus are present on the monkey costume in this photo either, because the view's blocked. Yeah. So it could be that they didn't have a dildo and anus on it.
You can still see the tits.
You can, so maybe it is exactly the same costume. I haven't got any further information on that, I'm afraid.
Where is this photo from again? Was it a
2008 Thames Festival when he was the Mayor of London?
What's a Thames Festival?
I don't know. A festival on the Thames, I suppose. Though it probably would have been kids present, so probably still not appropriate.
Very conservative.
Very conservative. Anyway, moving on. Let's go to Noncewatch in America, because if you think that noncery is a British left-wing phenomenon, you're wrong. It's a worldwide left-wing phenomenon. This was sexually explicit books that Wisconsin's school district provided to their children, which kind of weird. So Elmbrook School District offered students access to books and information via online library. This Sora database, it's called. Books including a book called This Book is Gay and Queer. This Book is Gay offers a play-by-play explanation of how to use Grindr and other sex apps.
These books were for children again?
Yeah. Children. School children need to know how to use Grindr. Thanks, leftists.
I think people need to know how to use wood chippers.
The book Queer, which parents dubbed sexually explicit, provides students with an in-depth analysis of anal sex, oral sex, one-night stands, and vaginal sex with dildos. No mention of butt monkeys, though.
Not very progressive.
The book also discusses the relationship between God and the LGBT community. Somehow, God always comes into the picture when queer people come out, the authors claim. I can imagine he does. When you're like, yeah, so kids, this is how you do anal sex. And the conservatives are like, listen, we need to talk to you about God. I agree with those conservatives at this point. And they're like, well, for some reason, God always comes into it. Yeah, God probably doesn't want you putting things up children's arses. Don't know why I have to say that.
Like, I'm disappointed in the lack of lightning coming out of the sky to strike you.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good point. It was good enough to destroy a George Floyd mural. Parents are also concerned because the books do not align with the state of Wisconsin's sex education policy, which actually leans towards abstinence. So this is an example of leftist subversion.
Could you imagine telling children they shouldn't be doing anal sex with each other at the age of 5? God, what a kooky conservative idea.
Yeah, I know. The Wisconsin state education policy is like, we shouldn't teach kids to use Grindr.
These conservatives have gone too far, folks.
I know.
Family Guy was right.
So the next one is a Black Lives Matter activist who is accused of molesting 62 children and has returned to work as the director of a school board in Denver. School board director accused of molesting 60 children plus undocumented students as well.
So what happened? Like, he's currently being charged?
It's currently under investigation.
Then he should be banned from anywhere near kids.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe in presumption of innocence and innocent proven guilty. So I'm not saying he's done anything or anything like that. I have no idea. But the point is the investigation is ongoing, and for some reason he has been allowed back to his position because the investigation has been going on for more than 30 days. It's like, well, I mean, it's taking longer than I expected.
Yeah.
So, go back to work. It's fine. I mean, he is, of course, denying these unsubstantiated false allegations, and I'm not familiar with the investigation, so, I'm not saying he's guilty or anything like that, but I can understand why people would be like, look, probably when you've been accused of molesting 62 kids, you shouldn't be working in a school.
You should have an order on you. Must not be 1,000 yards near a public school or something like that.
Just relieved from your duties until the investigation is clear and it comes back that actually, none of these are true for some reason. Like, I don't know why. So
all of the 62 kids were lying or something.
Yeah, I guess
you can have your job back.
Exactly, that's fine. But anyway, moving on, because of course, noncery is on the march in America, right? This is Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom, California governor, signed a controversial bill into law Friday that would give judges greater discretion to decide whether adults who commit sodomy with minors should be placed on the sex offender registry or not. Yes, you may well have had anal sex with a child, but do you need to go on the sex offender registry? Well, we'll give the judges discretion.
You may be a nonce, but you're not a sex offender.
That's literally California's position. Remember, they're the people who made it legal to give people AIDS. Is that not?
There is nothing to salvage from California.
There really isn't.
Nothing to salvage whatsoever, is there?
Possibly a giant earthquake. The bill, which passed the Democrat legislature last week, created a firestorm as proponents said its main purpose was to end discrimination against LGBT adults who have oral and anal sex with minors who claim to be consenting to the sexual activity. Welcome to California, Callum.
What, we're going to decriminalize pedos off the sex offender register because too many LGBT people end up on this list? What on earth are you doing? What on earth is... What? Like, okay, fine, yeah, the LGBT includes a P now. That's what they're saying.
Democrat State Senator Scott Wiener said, he introduced the legislation, by the way, said that this would put an end to blatant discrimination against young LGBT people engaged in consensual activity. So...
They are going to propose a bill between now and 2030, I'm calling it, decriminalizing paedophilia as a mental illness instead of... a crime.
Yes.
And they're going to argue that because it harms too many LGBTQIA plus P people.
Yes.
They're going to do it.
And do you know why they're doing this, right? Because
they're pedos.
Yes, they're pedos. But also because this is discriminatory against gay people. Do you know why? Because at the moment, if a straight person molests a child, the judge actually has the freedom to decide whether they should go on the sex offender registry or not. So noncery is basically up to judges' discretion. Why is a great question.
Why you legalize that?
I don't know. Because California, right? But they're like, okay, so for straight people doing it to children, that's something that might not get them on the sex offender registry. But for gay people, that does put them on there. And so they're like, well, we need to get rid of it for gays as well. Because otherwise that's homophobia. Not joking.
Morons are these people. You make it illegal for straights as well. That's the solution.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I would do, but apparently no. But I love the rhetoric that's around this. Like this, proving he's a true champion for the LGBT community, even when it's hard. Gavin Newsom.
I can't think of worse optics.
I know.
Than being like, I'm a champion for the LGBT pedos. Who does that?
But it's ending discrimination against LGBTQ young people on the sex offender registry. Thank you for seeing through the QAnon lies about equality legislation.
Who brought up QAnon?
He did.
QAnon
are the only people who don't want children being molested in this day and age, apparently.
The conspiracy theory that there's a pedo network that controls the world. And you're bringing it up as you decriminalize putting pedos on the sex offender registry.
Yes.
In favor of the LGBT community.
Yes. This is anti-discrimination.
Do they have no self-awareness whatsoever?
New frontiers in human rights.
They've never met anyone who isn't hard left, have they?
No. But it's California.
They can't even think. They can't even think for a second. How does this look outside of my very small bubble?
No, not even slightly. But and make no mistake, the politics here are hard, with the massive Trump, QAnon, and MAGA misinformation campaign against the legislation.
Oh, really? What are they alleging?
The facts are clear. This ends discrimination against LGBT people. California took yet again another step towards an equitable society. It's weird how their view of an equitable society involves so much rape of children. I just find that really weird.
Because they probably consider paedophilia to be a sexuality.
And a mental disorder. Well,
mental disorder rather than a criminal action.
Yes. But that's not my view of what an equitable society looks like. I think that both straights and gays should
I don't want an equitable
go
society.
to jail if they rape children. Don't know why I have to say that. Don't know what I have to say.
Well, should both be on the register. I think that's the question, isn't it?
Well, no, I think they should. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, but like, I think they should be punished.
Yeah, both of them. But the question for this one was about the register.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, it's so weird his defense of this, right? It's because obviously current law targets LGBT individuals because they do not engage in penile vaginal intercourse. This is such horrific homophobia. It's irrational and it ruins people's lives. That's right. It's the homophobia that's the problem.
Is this the senator talking?
Yeah. These are literal quotes from him. It's mad. They vote for this in California.
It's kind of nut job stuff you'd expect. Like, you went to the conference and you found the one guy who's clearly crazy and then filmed him. Not the senators for the party.
Yeah. It literally is a nut-picking fallacy is what they call it. And, well,
what if the whole thing's a bag of nuts?
And what if they elect the nuts to the positions of power? And then the nuts are like, well, don't put the pedos on the sex offender registry because they're gay.
Because that's
the straight pedos aren't on there.
It's homophobic to not criminalize pedos. Do you listen to yourself?
Moving on, I loved this. Remember the San Francisco gay men's chorus where they said, literally, "We're coming for your children." not terrifying when a bunch of really weird-looking men say that.
And then it turned out.
And
yeah, more pedos.
Yeah, but what I love about the progressives, and this is from the Daily Dot, is that we were just pretending to be pedos. Conservatives are furious at satirical "We'll Convert Your Children" song by the Gay Men's Chorus. It was a satire, guys. It was all just a big joke. I was just
pretending to be retarded.
Just pretending to be a pedo. It's a big joke, right? So the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus is composed fully of gay men, and they have their own sense of humor. That humor is not playing well with conservatives who are responding with incredible furor to a satirical song the group has been performing and posted on YouTube.
Again, the stupidity. At least one of them we knew was convicted of raping a child.
Hang on, we'll get to it.
Don't call that a gay man. That's a pedo.
There's been a ton of backlash, in part because the go-to for conservatives is to call people sex offenders, and gay men get called pedophiles a lot.
Only when they're pedos. Unless you're defining pedos as gay.
Maybe it's just gay men in California who get called pedos a lot.
I think it's the pedos who get called pedos.
But they're decriminalising it.
That's what I mean. Like, they look at a grown man raping a child boy, and they're like, that's homosexuality because they're both men. It's like, no, that's paedophilia because age matters.
But I love the cope here, right? Apparently, some of the names from the chorus can be found on the sex offender registry list, but they're all supposedly common names and could be anyone. Oh, yeah, yes, all of the people from our Gay Men's Chorus. This is names, aren't they? Just common names. That could be anyone on the sex offender register. Right, it could be anyone. It could be
any Bartholomew Smith V.
Yeah, exactly.
There are so many pedos in California, who knows?
Even if there is someone in the chorus who is a registered sex offender, it's definitely not some QAnon conspiracy level corruption situation. Who said that it was? But it turns out, it seems that maybe there probably are a few convicted pedos on the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. But I mean, Gavin Newsom's going to do something about that, and soon it won't even be a crime. So that's good. If we go to the next one, so using the Wayback Machine, the Western Journal apparently obtained a scrubbed list of chorus members and cross-referenced their names with the database of registered sex offenders in California, which is going to get a lot shorter, isn't it? In 2001, Lawrence L. Friedberg was similarly convicted of lewd or lascivious, I can't pronounce that, acts with a child under the age of 14, and there is an Earl Friedberg listed on the roster. Probably.
Is that a common name?
Nah, probably a different Earl Friedberg. There's probably millions
Friedberg.
Yeah. Probably loads of Earl Friedbergs in California. Lewis,
who are also on the sex offender registry.
Yeah, who are also on the sex offender registry. Louis Cuadra, again, very common name in California, probably loads of those, was convicted of lewd or lascivious acts.
Just say pedoism.
He was noncing with a child under 14 years of age in 2018, released in 2020. He appears, or his name appears, as the first on the list of the group's board members in September. And then you have Keith Aaron Pepper, must millions of them, who is also convicted of noncery with a child under 14 years of age in 1998. And Keith Pepper appears on the list of the group's board members. So I don't know that they're exactly the same people. I mean, they do look kind of similar.
Didn't they have some images, though? And the images look
much
the same as well?
They did, but I don't know. It's not necessarily confirmed. It's just really, really coincidental.
They're screaming, "We're coming for your children."
And they're screaming that we're coming for your children.
What a coincidence.
What a bunch of coincidences. And they're busy decriminalising noncery in California.
Another coincidence.
Just amazing how these keep stacking up. If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 p.m. UK time on lotuseaters.com.